Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Alex. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reviews, re-reviews, reactions, commentaries, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under pretty much each of these videos. This is for a film called The Wax Mask, which I had never heard of before, but it came out in 1997. It is a horror Italian film, kind of a giallo, but also has a bit of a what the hell in its finale. It's a remake of House of Wax, but it's not a remake of House of Wax. The thing with the film, it was supposed to be a collaboration between Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento. Lucio Fulci, Italian, both Italian filmmakers. Of course, Lucio Fulci, he had done films like Zombie, Gates of Hell, The Beyond. Dario Argento, of course, Suspiria, Deep Red, Tenebrae, and so forth. Well, they were finally going to get to work together. Argento was going to produce it, Fulci was going to direct it, but Fulci passed away in 1996. So pretty much the script got rewritten. Dario Argento still produced it, but he got this guy, an effects guy, Sergio Stivaletti, to direct the film. And so the director rewrote it, became a bit more of an effects-heavy movie. From what I understand, Fulci, his original intention was a bit more of a, I don't want to know if subtle, but not as effects-driven. But there's a pretty decent amount of makeup effects in this, and I would say that's the best part of the film. If you're all interested in Italian horror movies with a decent amount of makeup effects, maybe this is worth a watch. It takes place first at 1900, the year 1900. This kid's parents get murdered. Cops find the bodies. They find the kid under the bed. It's quite a few years later. These two patrons getting ready to get some hookers. One guy dies. Well, he will die. Spoiler. One guy just dared to stay at this wax museum that's going to be opening up for a night. He does, and I guess he gets frightened to death by a Medusa head. You ever seen Clash of the Titans, the old one, and the bitch with the snakes, the Medusa? There's that, and it looks like it's like glowing eyes, and the guy's like, ah! And the cops find him, he's been frightened to death. I'm like, okay. And the guy who's opened up this new wax museum is a guy named Boris. He gets this new, God, what was her name? This new lady who works for him, and she's going to be the costume designer. Her name is Sonia. And she's going to do the costume designing on the exhibits for the wax museum. And as the movie goes on, you have certain people, either kids or hookers, they get grabbed by this person dressed all in black who will inject them with this fluid. With the hookers, he puts them in this contraption with their titties out, because this is an Italian film, so you need the titties out. Not that I'm complaining, but the titties are out. And I didn't really get how, I guess with the fluid, he injects them, because there's this weird thing where if it looks like they're getting thinner and thinner, and then it looks like they get thicker and thicker. Just like, this one girl gets thin, like she's been her life force sucked out, but then it's being brought back up again. I don't know if it's like her life force, her blood gets sucked down, she gets injected with wax, or the way it looked was a bit iffy. And there are some iffy optical effects. There's a point where a wax museum's burning down, and the optical effects are just laughable. There are times where you're supposed to see electricity as very cheap-looking, goofy, Nickelodeon-style electrical effects. They definitely put all the money into the makeup. And when I say the makeup, I mean there's at one point someone gets their hand ripped off, someone gets a heart ripped out, waxes will melt, and some pretty decent effects. And there's people, of course, underneath the wax figures. I will point, the bad guy takes a fake eye and puts it over a real eyeball. But I would... The reason I keep going all over the place with this, it's a pretty slow-moving movie. It wasn't the most exciting film, at least for the first half of the movie. The characters, maybe because of the dubbing, I couldn't really get into them. I didn't really care about any of the characters. Again, there's Sonia, the new costume designer, who's the same lady whose parents died many, many years ago. And then there's the reporter guy, and they try to have a little bit of lovey-dovey thing. You have the bad guy, Boris. You have his assistant named Alex. You have this inspector who helped the lady when she was a little girl. At times, Sonia gets flashbacks of the murder of her parents, and she knows that the bad guy had a metal hand. That was how I was able to rip the hand and the heart out. And there's a lot of weird stuff in this, but you just said it for a lot of Italian horror. And I'm not going into spoilers discussing that, because I don't know how else to word it, so spoilers from here on. Like, for example, no, I'll wait that, because that's the... You may wonder what the hell this picture is. Like, are you sure you're not reviewing a Terminator ripoff? No, I'm sure, because that's at the end of the film. Like, at one point, the bad guy tries to kill this little girl, and they have an autopsy, and it's a little girl with her tits out, because it's supposed to be a dead body. And I'm sitting there going like this, like, I don't want to see a little girl and her boobies. I don't want to see that. That's not needed. I don't give a fuck what kind of movie you're doing. That's irresponsible. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That's P to the E to the D to... No, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. It's fucking true. I'm literally doing this because I'm like... Oh. I'm just listening to the dialogue, waiting for it to end, because I don't want to see that shit. And that's uncalled for. Fucking underage girl, and then when they're, because they say it in dialogue that they're cutting in her, oh, she's alive, and then later on when my eyes open, she's, you know, not dead. She's scared, but not dead. Ideas at times the injection will slow your heart down, kind of like Serpent the Rainbow, you know, that voodoo drug that will slow your heart down to make you assume or seem like you're dead. Like I said, the process of him turning these people into wax figure, I didn't really understand 100%, but it definitely has a mad scientist, Hammer horror film type of vibe to it, only a bit even grislier. It's very easy to know who the bad guy is. As soon as he pops on screen, you go, I bet that's the bad guy. So it's not much of a twist where, spoiler, Boris, the guy who opened the wax museum, is the killer. So you get this one flashback where he had a lover and she was cheating on him with this other guy, and the other guy pushed him into this vat. But I guess then that led to him killing people before he opened up this wax museum? Or... because now he's killing people, and he says some type of speech about these people on the verge of death, I bring them back and let them live forever. Because even in this wax, they're still, I guess, kind of alive in a way, as he puts it. I'm like, okay, this is a whole plan, as fucked up as you are. You know, I want them to, you know, take the people that were kicked out of society like I am. I'm sitting there going, you act as if you're helping these people, but you're making them frozen in time in a wax museum. But I mean, to try to understand a crazy person will make you crazy. They don't make sense. That's why they're fucking called crazy. But why the hell was he killing people so many years ago when that girl was, when the costume designer was a little girl? Why was he murdering people at that point then? For the shits and giggles? I guess maybe to collect body parts, but couldn't you just do that robbing a cemetery? Since the way you do it, but I guess not, but at the same time, why wouldn't it? Wouldn't there be easy ways to do it? Wouldn't you just find, you know, winos and drunk people and homeless people? No, you went into this, you're like ripping a heart out, and I don't know what you need a heart for, because later on you're using metal hearts. Like, I'll get to that in a few minutes. So I don't know why he ripped the heart out, because I don't... Did he take that real heart and make a metal heart out of it? And the metal hand, like, why is that a metal hand but everything else is a skin? Why don't you put skin over that metal hand so that no one notices that either? I don't know. Maybe the movie answered it, I forgot. Sorry. I apologize. And like the dubbing isn't that good. Like Alex, that character, who's the assistant, the reason he likes Boris is because he doesn't beat me like other people did. You see my skin, my skin carries the scars, and my heart carries the hate. Cool story, bro. Tell it again. Cool story. So he's making these people, like, turn them into these wax figures, also giving them metal hearts. The inspector tries to help. He gets killed by the bad guy who has the inspector's own face. So now we're in like Darkman territory. So it's like an evil version of Darkman. He'll take your face and wear it, or he'll make another face. So right, an evil version of Darkman. That's a fucking... And like I said, the first half is pretty slow and pretty uninvolving. Other than the weird shit. But maybe that's what people would like, is the weird shit. And, like, the music, it's not anywhere near as good as other... Like, you looked at Demons, you looked at Suspiria, you looked at Deep Red, you looked at even Zombie, Lucio Fulci's film. That music really stands out. Here, I can't remember much about it, whether it's good or bad. Direction-wise, the guy was definitely more into effects than the rest of the direction. This is pretty much an effects show. If you like to see some makeup effects, this is really the #1 priority, because there's really that, and again, some quirky Italian stuff. I mean, once in a while, there's some color schemes that stand out, but it's not like Dario Argento, how he uses lighting and color. Again, like Deep Red or Suspiria is nowhere near of that nature. Maybe some of the sets, you see a little bit of spontaneity of color, but the lighting, again, it's nothing really remarkable. I gotta get to this ending though. So super spoilers. Sonia's there, and then she gets taken. Reporter saves her. The bad guy Boris is there. Reporter puts Boris in front of the steam pipe, and his face is melting. You know, decent practical makeup for the time. But I'm a sucker for practical makeup effects. I am. That's a... Even if it's not the best, I do give a bit more leeway than maybe others do. Because I'm, again, just a sucker for practical makeup effects. And again, that's where all the money went into, because the optical effects, like the place burning up, is just laughable. Hell, Waxwork is a low-budget movie in America. That came out in 1988. And then Waxwork 2 Lost in Time came out in 91 or 92 or 90. I can't remember what year. Way better than this. It actually looks like a place was burned down. I would say if you want to watch a movie involving a wax museum, go watch Waxwork with David Warner, rest in peace, Zach Galligan from Gremlins. Go watch Waxwork. Even Waxwork 2, I mean, the Waxwork is only at the beginning, but much more of a satisfying movie. I mean, you got Zach Galligan and the guy from Die Hard, Alexander Godunov, having a sword fight through all these dimensions of Dawn of the Dead and Nosferatu and Godzilla, or as much as it could be without getting sued. Much more of a fun experience than this. So at one point, cops come in there as well, and there's the bad guy, and like all these other wax, they're melting. You see this pretty nasty stuff underneath, and the bad guy melts, and it becomes a T-800. He becomes a fucking cyborg. Why? I mean, are we meant to assume that when he went into the vat, he built himself up to be a cyborg? Is that what we're meant to believe? That he was fucked up and he built himself up to be a cyborg? Or I guess... This is where this is another weird twist. He's like reaching out, he gets smashed, goes to the ground dead. Mainly from this, the assistant Alex. The rest are ready to leave. Alex goes another way. He goes down the stairs. And I don't know why. At times Alex looked like a very, very young Robert Englund. I don't know what it is, but I swear, at times with his face, like a 20-year-old, or like if you look at Robert Englund and Galaxy of Terror, or maybe even Eaten Alive, like that era Robert Englund, he kind of looks like that, with a bit more like white makeup. But anyway, it wasn't Robert Englund, but that's what it looked like. He takes his face off, and we're meant to assume that's the real Boris. So I'm saying, well, when the fuck did he change faces? So when Boris was doing all this talking, it was with the girl, and his face got melted. That was Alex the whole time? And then it went up, and then the Alex says, blah, 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 and burns him. The guy's on fire. So when did Boris become Alex? Like, when... And Alex... Like, when did they switch? And if Alex is the guy that gets beaten, why would he say yes to, yes, I will wear my master's face? I mean, yeah, they established that he will listen to the guy, but the guy has also beaten him. So you think, the guy who I said would never beat me, he did beat me. I don't have any questions about this, but... And then not only did he wear the face, but he was able to talk like him? So he had a voice modulator? Is this mission fucking impossible? Reminds me of that fucking movie Happy Birthday to Me. Was that ending fucking sucked too? I mean, this, at least there's some weird makeup effects where... So, are we meant to believe that Boris is not a Terminator, but each of these people he makes to be Terminators? How the hell... Is this like a weird version of Cyberdyne I don't know about? Why the fuck do people look like Terminators? Why do they look like a Terminator? Did the Medusa... Was that a Terminator head? And then frightened the guy to death at the beginning? Why are people looking like Terminators? And how did this guy come up with a metal heart? How the fuck do you know any of this shit? So if you try to think of the story, your head will explode. If you look at the characters, I didn't give a rat's ass about any of the characters. The English dubbing is bad, so if you can, watch the subtitle version. Again, the only thing I can give this really is the makeup effects, and the ending was definitely I didn't see that coming. Just why the fuck would I see a Terminator? Would you think that Italian Giallo film would kind of rip off Terminator at the end? I wouldn't. But fuck, I mean, if you want to watch an Italian movie, that movie, Shocking Dark, the Bruno Matiz Terminator 2, that came out before Terminator 2, but is really a ripoff of Aliens. No, look it up if you don't believe me. Shocking Dark, but its other name was Bruno Matiz, or Bruno Matiz. People pronounce it differently. Bruno Matiz Terminator 2. They came out, again, before the actual Terminator 2. Again, most of it is a ripoff of Aliens. There's a ripoff Ripley and a ripoff Newt and ripoff cloning Marines, but it takes place in Earth, but it's like a post-apocalyptic or Earth, and then there's creatures. It just... and that, I mean, became like a Terminator at the end. Like a Terminator movie. As stupid as it sounds, that made more sense than this movie. But I did. If you want to see makeup effects, it's a halfway decent makeup effects reel, but it's not like wall to wall. I don't want to make it seem like there's 18 or 85 or makeup scenes, but there's some decent ones. Or if you just like weirdo Italian movies. But yeah, all the stuff I listed, and again, don't need to see a fucking kid underage with her titties out. As soon as I saw it, I just... Come on. Give a fuck if you're Italian or not. That's no fucking excuse. It's like giving an excuse to Roman Polanski, that fucking prick. Fuck Roman Polanski. And fuck that scene in this movie. So... like I said, I'm not really a big fan of it. Why is it not a rant? I don't know. Because I like the makeup effects and the ending. As much as it confuses me, it was kind of fun to watch as a one time. I'll never see it again. But I don't know, I just didn't feel like ranting. I don't know how to put it. But with that said, thanks. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Fucking Terminator.